at Wolf Creek. The Wolf Creek Power Plant is a nuclear plant that provides a lot of electricity. There is some debate about nuclear power right now because there used to be a lot of waste that came off of nuclear power plants, very toxic waste that was difficult to store. What they've learned to do is to feed a lot of that nuclear waste back into the reactor so it heats it. And actually, a smaller percentage of nuclear waste comes out of the nuclear power plant. That doesn't mean it's entirely clean, and there are risks to nuclear power that people are afraid of. So I don't know that nuclear power is going to get additional play anytime soon. And there's the debate actually whether it's cleaner than coal or not. I'm not well enough informed to know if nuclear is cleaner than coal. It certainly produces a lot fewer emissions into the ozone layer and is less damaging to the air. But the nuclear waste that it produces obviously is very toxic and deadly. And so, and we haven't found a really good way to store that either. Board of Public Utilities they don't own it, but they have signed a lease with a wind generation company in western Kansas, and I think they have 5 to 7% of their current generation is with wind energy right now. They also bought, I'd say a year ago, they bought a major natural gas plant in Missouri. They bought about half of the natural gas plant, and that plant generates a lot of electricity for the Board of Public Utilities as well. Now that's still burning a fossil fuel. Natural gas is still a fossil fuel like coal, but it does burn more cleanly than coal and has fewer emissions. And so it is also considered by the Environmental Protection Agency as a legitimate offset to coal. The biggest challenge with coal is 50% of all the electricity in the United States is generated by coal. And as long as we like to have these fancy computers and these phones, we're going to need electricity. So how we figure out how to do it is very challenging. But the BPU is taking some steps to try to reduce the percentage of coal that they use. And our oldest coal plant in Cordero is being shut down permanently in another year or two. Do you have another question?
Yeah, 1 minute. You guys want to ask one? You want to ask?
It's noisy this way in the background.
In Kansas City, are there other energy resources we can use besides natural gas is very prevalent here, and nuclear.
Oh, sorry.
There's no hydroelectric in this area, and that's an interesting question. In a lot of the coastal areas, you have hydroelectric energy.
We just asked that question, sorry. There you go.
For your children. Yes, I would. I have 4 kids who are 17, 14, 10, and 9.
Yes.
And certainly want to do whatever we can to protect the environment moving forward. So, yes, absolutely, it's a high priority.
If you guys are going outside, come sign out. You guys should eat first, too.
Wait.
I have it. Dory, I have the sign-up sheet. They are going to the track today, so make sure you guys sign up if you guys are going.
I don't even... He said something about...
Yes. Yes.
Alright, what do you think about the pollution in Wyandotte County? I feel like it's better or worse in surrounding counties.
14.
That is a very interesting
17,
question. So,
14...
I would say it's probably a little bit worse for this reason. We're the only city in the region that has our own coal burning plant right here in the city limits. Kansas City Power and Light has built all of their power plants outside of the metro area. And so you have the Iatan power plant, which is much larger than ours and much more polluting than ours, but it's way up the Missouri River in a rural area.
It's close.
You also have a lot of industrial uses here in Kansas City, Kansas. We have the General Motors manufacturing plant. We have Certainty insulation, Owens Corning insulation. A lot of these industrial users burn a lot of electricity, and they have a lot of emissions in their own right that we try to monitor. And so from the respect that we have a lot of industrial in our community, we probably have more pollution. The other thing is we have 3 major interstates that run through our city, and there's a lot of car pollution because of that. And so when you have I-70, I-635, and I-35 all running through Wyandotte County, that brings a lot of vehicles in with a lot of car emissions. The other interesting piece that we have in Kinston, Kansas is we have the largest railroad footprint in the United States. So we have the largest rail yard between the Burlington Northern, Santa Fe, and Union Pacific in terms of total tonnage of goods that are brought through a city. Chicago has a rail yard that has more traffic total, but we have more tonnage of goods. So when you have the 2 largest railroads in the world running right through our city, and they're major stops in our city, one of the things that we're actively monitoring right now is monitoring air quality from all of those diesel locomotives that are burning, and monitoring that output for our residents down by the rail yards in the Argentine and Armourdale areas. So that's an area that we're newly looking into. But with all the manufacturing, the coal-producing plants, the cars that drive through our community, and the trains that drive through our community, probably we have an air quality that is probably lower than certainly the rural counties out in Kansas, and maybe lower than other municipalities in the Kansas metro area. That's not great news.
Yeah.
How much of the city's budget encourages people to use renewable energy and recycle? Okay, that's a good question. Renewable energy, not much. All of that incentive comes through the budget of Board of Public Utilities. But in terms of recycling, because if you look at your parents' Board of Public Utilities bill, it has both BPU charges as well as city charges. And you'll have a trash charge on your city bill. And that trash charge is what pays for Deaf and Paw to come pick up your house waste as well as your recycling. One of the things I'm working on right now is when we did the rollout of our curbside trash pickup program, we got the bins out, the green bins with the recycle center off. We got those bins out to people's hands. My trouble is, in my family, we actively recycle. We recycle everything. The trouble is we need to have the second round of getting those bins out to everyone. We continue to educate people to recycle. So we send less and less trash to landfill. So we're working on that. But in terms of how much of our budget, boy, it's not very much. And actually, we call the trash fund, it's called an enterprise fund because it pays for itself. There's a revenue source from a fee that pays for it. So a revenue, it's one of the few programs that has a built-in revenue stream and doesn't come out of your regular city dollars. Okay, what do you do at home to reduce your energy use, cut down on the amount of pollution? Mostly what I do is I yell at my kids, close the door! The kids are forever going in and out of the house and leaving the door open, so we air condition and heat the whole neighborhood. So one thing we try to do is shut the doors.
Yes.
But we have a programmable thermostat in our house where we can reduce the temperature or increase the temperature while we're gone. So we're not unnecessarily using energy when we're not there. We also have an active recycling program. We recycle glass, which we have to deliver. We recycle all of our paper, which we deliver to a bin. And we recycle all of the household recyclables that we have for the curbside pickup. So we are very active recyclers, and we do work with our thermostat to make sure it's beneficial. And the other thing I tell my kids in the middle of the winter, and kids are rotten, I know but your parents probably feel the same way. The kids want to wear a t-shirt and shorts in the middle of the winter in the house and wonder why they're cold. Well, I'm not going to heat the house to tropical temperatures so the kids are comfortable. Put a sweatshirt on. Wear pants, for crying out loud. It's wintertime. And so if you're complaining about being cold, go put a sweatshirt on. But these are all things that we can do. Americans have this sense that we ought to be perfectly comfortable at all times in shorts and a t-shirt, and that is not true. And it costs money to walk around in shorts in the winter. So there's my my dad's speech for the day. Way to stop pollution. One, we haven't talked much about transportation. Our city is very dependent on cars. We are growing our bus routes. Riding the bus right now, it's not super convenient. In a lot of larger cities, there are more active bus routes. Getting people out of their cars, using your bicycle as transportation, walking places when it's possible is a big benefit. Just cutting down that impact. Also, just in terms of what we consume a lot of stuff that we don't need that generates trash, and everything you throw away took energy to produce. I mean, all the wrappings, all the materials that we have can be very wasteful. So I think what we can do is we can consume less. I think you can turn lights off when you leave a room. I think you can use your thermostat to keep your temperatures more moderate. You can save a significant amount of money with just a degree or two difference in your thermostat. So I think there's a lot that we can do, but mostly it's putting the environment ahead of our own comfort. And Americans love their comfort. For every action, there is a reaction. Is that the first one?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yes. So it kind of combines with that, wouldn't you say? Well, not like that, but just I'm not trying to bring science into it, but I'm just asking. Yes. Yeah, I was just asking. I was just kind of curious. Yes.
That's our last question.
That's all for us. That was our last question. Number 8 was our last question. Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.
He close first or we close?
Look and see if there's an option to save that text.